don't want it. We been bending corners, bent like elbows, bend anywhere that cash go. Bought it this morning, drive it like I stole it. Parking left it running like I really don't want it. We been bending corners, bent like elbows, bend anywhere that cash go. Checking my mirror for them suckers. Coast clear, turn up that music like another this, that. Mink coat flow, I wrote this in the summer. Poolside high school, you motherfucker. To the rules we abide by on this side. Members only like the jacket. I grew up amongst some criminals, check their jackets. Known for action with them ratchets. While I was just coolin', writing raps, eating snacks and shit. 300 racks I spent just to sit in back and get high in the mud. Looking down on them scrubs. How could you hate your brother when I'm just like you? Except I did what I said that I would do. Erase the hate and let the sun shine through. Apply yourself, fool. You can live out your dreams too. Imagination can create the truth. Every brick that built my mansion will provide the proof. Recognize he riding Bentleys when he coming full. Like I said, a Forgiatos on the living room. Luxury shit, fuck with me, bitch. Capital G, the weather nice out, I'm hitting the switch. I'm in the streets, 13-inch, triple gold D's. Strike a pose, a picture worth 1,000 words, I suppose. Picture me rolling with your golden chosen, who you thought would hold it down for you, but she clowned you under pressure, so unprofessional. High beyond measure, sharing the treasure with my fellas. Oh, she down for the jets, bruh. No tricking, no financial, strictly finesse, bruh. On to the next, bruh. Find out where I left her. Bought it this morning, drive it like I stole it. Park it left it running like I really don't want it. We been bending corners, bent like elbows, bend anywhere that cash go. Bought it this morning, drive it like I stole it. Park it left it running like I really don't want it. We been bending corners, bent like elbows, bend anywhere that cash go. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Drive it like I stole it. Park it left it running like I really don't want it. We been bending corners, bent like elbows, bend anywhere that cash go. Bought it this morning, drive it like I stole it. Park it left it running like I really don't want it. We been bending corners, bent like elbows, bend anywhere that cash go. Checking my mirror for them suckers. Coast clear, turn up that music like another this, that. Mink coat flow, I wrote this in the summer. Poolside high school, you motherfucker. To the rules we abide by on this side. Members only like the jacket. I grew up amongst some criminals, check their jackets. Known for action with them ratchets. While I was just coolin', writing raps, eating snacks and shit. 300 racks I spent just to sit in back and get high in the mud. Looking down on them scrubs. How could you hate your brother when I'm just like you? Except I did what I said that I would do. Erase the hate and let the sun shine through. Apply yourself, fool.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. We in the place to be, and your boy is back. Pontiac WYAC. And what you guys don't know, I'm about to change the name of the show once again. If you're watching, please go ahead and share. The show is going to be simply called Saute, honestly, because why not? We going for more of a universal appeal. You know what I mean? So I had a couple of shows, different names, and Effigy Live, very beginning. Then I did the Every Other Day podcast. Then I did the Pontiac WYAC. I did Econ show. Then I said, you know what? How about just the Asante podcast, the Asante, you know what I mean? So whatever, we're gonna be going forward with that, moving forward. But if you missed last night's show, you missed a very good show. We talked about what was going on, what's happening out there in Venezuela. We talked about that, had a very good show. We had, matter of fact, I'm going to open up the phone lines. Last night, I didn't have the phone lines open, but tonight we're going to do so. We're going to open up the phone lines, and then we might also change the format slightly going forward, because we got to get more traction and things like that. I forgot one more guy on this screen, so while we here, let's go ahead and put this guy up too. He's part of the Dirty Dozen. You know what I'm saying? Let's put this guy. We can't forget him. Can't forget this. We can't forget Dollar. And let's go ahead and take that out. Boom. Can't forget the dude, bro. I was thinking earlier when I got ready to come on, and I was like, I wasn't gonna really come on tonight. I'm just gonna go ahead and just chill out and not come on and have conversation or whatever the case may be. But I like to make conversation and content that changes things and makes a difference and talks about some things, and also not only just talk about some things, but talk about some things that matter in our communities and in our lives and our world. And me personally, I just cannot stand prosperity preachers. We got TD Jakes. He's not quite preaching anymore per se. We have Pastor Jamal Bryant, and I would really like to talk about what's going on with Pastor Jamal Bryant. But we got Joel Osteen, Kenneth Copeland, we got Dollar right there. And quite honestly, y'all, church is just not what it used to be. Attendance is down everywhere. People not going to church. People not going to church. And it's not that people don't want the connection with God. It's not that the people don't want the connection with the higher power or whatever they believe in. It's not that people don't want connection anymore. It's just that at the end of the day, people not getting what they need spiritually from these quote unquote leaders. They full of it. They full of it. And so happens so much so forth is just not only on a national scale where we got these guys that are nationally known, also on your local level, also on your regional and just state people around. They not people not really hearing or getting the word from these guys. These guys out here living like, the world. So it's hard for people to go ahead and begin to receive the message from people that's acting like they really being ordained or sent by God. And a lot of times when people say God called me to ministry, God didn't call them to ministry. They called themselves to ministry. They wouldn't know God if God came and kicked them in their face. They wouldn't know. They don't know the voice of God. But these prosperity preachers are real irking and they real demonic. They're really something. We don't really just have prosperity preachers. These guys that I got up on the screen are just the representation of the people that maybe around in your neighborhood. The preachers that driving super well, and ain't nothing wrong with having a nice car. There's nothing wrong with having a great suit. There's nothing wrong with being able to go to a nice vacation or having a decent home. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you see that a pastor is living abundantly super cadifragilistically higher than the guys or the people, the patrons that go to your church, there's something wrong with that. I had this conversation before, like maybe last year, in the middle of last year, about the city that I'm from has almost over 70 churches for 60,000 residents. Who are they reaching? And none of these churches are filled. None of them are filled. None of the churches are filled. You can't fill a church in the city of Pontiac right now. You can't fill a church all the way up. And why is that? Why is that? Do you mean to tell me that the Spirit of the Lord is weakened? No, it hasn't. If anything, I believe the Spirit of the Lord has gotten deeper and stronger amongst people. I believe that the preachers are not reaching people anymore. And the people that are still in the churches is somehow kind of brainwashed in a lot of cases. It's not that I don't believe that people want to seek God's face and learn more. I don't think people are learning what they need to learn in church anymore. So they turning away from church and they studying on their own. Now, these guys on the screen are just a representation, but I can't stand these prosperity preachers because they never really preach from the Bible real messages. They talk about a lot of prosperity and gaining wealth and all that, and that's all part of life. But everybody, as we see, is not going to be rich. Everybody's not going to be wealthy. Mostly everybody is on the middle and the lower end. But they preach that message of hope. And you don't even see men in the church anymore. You can go to any church in your neighborhood or around in your circumference. You don't see men in church. You don't see strong men in church. You know why? Because they strong men. Strong men don't even really go to church anymore. Honestly, when I was growing up, I remember strong men used to be part of the security team and part of the usher board. And yeah, you got those guys that's still there. But you don't see men in church no more. You know why? Because they all know it's a racket. For the most part. So we have our own versions, and everybody that's listening from YouTube to Facebook, we all have our own versions of these representations of these guys on the screen here. And since I'm talking about it, churches are a nonprofit, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Like, I don't understand how churches have nobody there and they still stay open. Like, attendance is down on every end of every church. The pews is not being filled up like they used to be when we were younger, or people attended church people don't attend church like that no more. For real. Or if they are, it's not all churches. It's not mainly a lot of churches. There's very few churches that in your neighborhood or in your city that are actually filled up. How are these churches staying open? You have to ask yourself, how is these churches? They're subsidized. How? We got to ask these certain questions. Like, you should go ask your pastor, like, Pastor, we only getting like maybe 15 to 25 people a week. And out of these 15 to 25 people a week, they not really giving like that. How is the church staying open? Where is the money coming from? Nobody wants to ask these types of questions. So my thing is this. I think in today's time, people are falling away from the church in the good. I'm glad that they are, because now people are really seeking the truth for what the Bible really says. They're learning on their own. They're taking time to read, and they're being revealed. The revelation of what the Bible is and says is being revealed to people. And they don't need these clowns anymore. They don't need these clowns anymore. Now I'm looking at T.D. Jakes. He can't preach no more because nobody going to listen to him. Because he kind of got exposed. Now he got a podcast. Nothing wrong with a podcast. I love podcasts. I promote podcasts, and I have people come to my studio and do podcasts. Nothing wrong with that. But now he does a podcast. Pastor Jamal Bryant, he wants to be a star. He has a podcast now. And he took over the church in Atlanta that Eddie Long had. They called for him out of Baltimore. He came, and he beating them people out. And then you just saw a address of his wife. Come on, man. You're supposed to be a pastor. And Pastor Jamal Bryant's wife in a nude dress. Yo, look. I don't care what nobody say. It's the times and when it, you know, I'm not even a pastor, but I wouldn't even have my woman come out and dress inappropriate like that. These ain't men of God. They're demonic filled, and you sometimes just got to be able to see through people and see what they really are. You don't need to know them and be right up under them to see what they all about. They show you after a while. And with these guys, it's all about money and prosperity and making you have a feel-good message, but they really not trying to help you. They're not preaching and teaching from, you know, the word where it really can motivate and move your life in the right direction, not for prosperity, quote unquote, on this side of the veil, but on the other side of the veil, because we all got to go there. We're all going to go. So how you can get your soul together, how you can get your soul right, you know? And none of these guys really preach on that. I used to listen to Kenneth Copeland early days, on my early days. When I'm talking about early days, teenage, I used to be going to, I get up and I listen to Kenneth Copeland. And I felt he had some good messages 20-something years ago. And I felt, but, so at the end of the day, I really feel like we got our own versions of these clowns in our city or in our neighborhoods. We all got them. They just lower level. They not on the level of these guys making a lot of money. But I'm not for one that's saying preachers should be walking around here looking poor. I'm not for that. I'm not for one that a preacher or a pastor or bishop, whatever, should walk around looking homely and not no transportation and begging. I'm not saying that. But when I look at you, I should be able to see God in you. And that look, when you see a man of God, a woman of God, you can see it. There's no words that can really describe it. You can feel it. And just because you're in a nice suit, just because you drive a nice car, where it looks like you're blessed, and you're going to this function and that function, and you're going here, you're going there, that don't mean that you're being blessed. That doesn't mean that you're being blessed by God, the one that you say you serve. You can be also blessed by the devil himself. So I would really just like to say, I can't stand these prosperity preachers. I hope a lot of these churches, quite honestly, I'm be honest with you. Some of these churches need to fail and close. They haven't been any good for the community for a long time. And they're only there to do pseudo help, acting like they're help, but they really not. They're not really saving souls. For real, for real. And the leadership is bad in a lot of these churches. And most of them, out of all the preachers that I've came across in my lifetime, and I came across quite a few, honestly, there was really only one pastor out of maybe, there's one pastor that I've met that I can honestly, and I felt like the Spirit of God was on this man from where I'm from. There was only one man that I really felt that God touched this man. Like this guy, he was a real leader. And I also got tricked by a couple of pastors that I felt actually God had the anointing on them, but these guys were so tricky that God didn't have an anointing on them. You know what I'm saying? But this one, out of all the pastors that I met throughout the city of Pontiac, there was only really one pastor that I really felt like, and that was Pastor Amos Johnson. It was something about that man, and maybe, I don't know if it was in his older age, that he had the zeal and he had something in him, and he had the true honor of God on him. Other than that, I really haven't met anybody else. I still respect them as far as what their title and what they're perceiving to be. I respect what they're trying to do, but I haven't really felt them being what they say they are. And I'm not the end all be all, the judge of that. But I can really say I only really met one pastor that was really, in my opinion, was a true man of God as far as how I felt. Out of all the pastors that I came across, my gripe with a lot of the pastors and preachers is that they don't really preach the Bible anymore. They don't go into the scripture and bring it out and talk about it. Everything is kind of led up to what it's going to be about with the offering or the offering or the offering or the tithe. And it's defeating. But what I do see is that nobody's really attending these churches too much like that anymore. I'm finding that people are finding the truth on their own. And people are searching for the truth on their own, and they seeking God's face on their own. And they're realizing, especially men, are realizing they don't need to sit up under another man for them to tell them who God is. So what these prosperity churches do, what a lot of these churches do, are they made up of women. They're made up of women. Most of these churches, if you go around any of these churches in your neighborhood or wherever you from, all these churches are made up of women. You don't see men in churches like that no more. And the women are the backbone of all of these churches that's out here right now. You don't see men in them churches no more like that. And the preacher know I can manipulate and give good, feel good, prosperity, and girl sermons that may say child, all that type of shit. I can make them feel good about it. And I can have them support the church and do all types of stuff. And that's really what's supporting the black churches is the women at the end of the day. Because the real message of God really ain't even being preached anymore. The real word of God is not being preached anymore. Unfortunately. And like I say, at the end of the day, I want to know how a lot of these churches are staying open and they don't even have people that even come to church anymore. How are these churches and these buildings staying open if you only got 15 people coming every week? Where's the money coming from? I would like to know. Nobody answers that question. Where is the money coming from if only 15 to 25 people is coming per week to the church? How is this great big old church paying the lights, the gas? How? Where is it coming from? Hey, Tamil. Anthony, preaching heaven and hell is a rarity these days. They don't preach that no more. You know why they don't preach it? And I'm going to open up the phone line. If you would like to call, you can. You know why they don't preach it? Because it's not money in preaching that. You don't want to preach anything that's going to make people scared. People don't want to be scared. People don't want to hear bad news. If you start talking about some real things that's really real and what's waiting for you, it ain't no money in preaching heaven and hell. It's money in preaching and telling people what they want to hear. The feel-good message. And yeah, the gospel is the good news, but hey, there's a lot of things that need to be warning people, especially in the days and the times that we live in. And these guys are just, that I got on the screen, are a representation of people that you know in your city and in your neighborhood. They just smaller guys. They just smaller. They ain't this representation. Everybody got a TD Jakes in their city. Somebody that inspires to be like him. And this guy, Joel Osteen, and there's people like that. They don't preach it because we don't want to offend anyone. Exactly. They don't want to offend anyone, but they don't want to offend their pocketbooks. They don't give a damn about offending nobody. They offend. Hey, look, preachers will offend people that ain't at they will preach against people that they know don't support them, and they know that will be able to help them get. They're not going to preach against the people that going to give them offerings. So if I know I got a majority of women that's in the congregation, I'm not going to preach anything that's going to rub them the wrong way. Because if I do that, that's messing with my money. You know what I mean? That's like if I got a client, you know what I mean? I'm going to try not to do what the client don't want me to do at the end of the day, because that's my money. I'm going to try to satisfy the client. The clients of these churches and the clients of these churches is basically the women, because men ain't coming. You know what I mean? So I'm going to open up the phone line. If you would like to call, you can. I would like to hear your voice. Let me make sure that, let me go ahead and open up the phone line. If there's anything that you guys would like to say, I didn't come to stay long. I just came to be strong real quick, and talk about some things that, that really matter. That really, really matter. So let me go to phone line real quickly. Let me pull this up. Where the phone number at? There we go. 248-905-1128. Let me put this up on the screen where it's a little bit more prevalent, where you guys can see it at. Put it up here. Boom. Bam. 248-905-1128. 248-905-1128. You can call the hotline. We talk real quick. Hopefully everybody having whoever's listening from Facebook, YouTube, or whatever, hopefully we having a good day, and you can give me a call. But this is just the real talk, and the matter of it is, last night we had a real good conversation. I don't mind being controversial. We had a real good talk and conversation about Venezuela last night, and the understanding on Venezuela and what's kind of going on with that. We're going to start opening up a whole new platform. I'm about to change the name of the podcast, of the show, and we're going to call it the Sante Show. It's just going to be the Sante Show. So anybody that come on, they have no mistake on whose show it is. It's Sante's. You know what I'm saying? So, but a universal type of appeal, you know what I mean? But 248-905-1128. But again, like I say, I think it just really, it's upsetting to me, but it's quite honest. I am happy because a lot of these churches are going out of business because they're not serving the community anyways. For real. They're not serving the people anyways. They're not helping people get into paradise anyways. They're not. They're helping their pockets. They're helping their pride. They're helping their ego. They're trying to help their influence. They're trying to help their legacy. They're not trying to push the kingdom. And I'm not up here trying to be a holy roller and holier than thou also, neither. I'm just speaking the truth of the fact of the matter. And that's the fact of the matter. But I like your comment, Tamil, where you said they don't want, they preach what they don't, because they don't want to offend anyone. And that's pretty much what it is. That's pretty much what it is. I'm going to keep the phone lines open for a couple of more minutes, and then I'm out of here. I just wanted to more or less, you guys, also take keep a commitment for myself. I told myself, you know what, let me get up and go do live and do meaningful content daily if I can, you know what I mean? And I can. Tomorrow I won't be able to do so. So I said, you know what, let me make sure I come on tonight and give my 2 cents and, talk about a couple of things. But look, at the end of the day, you guys, your relationship with God has to be the relationship between you and God. It's personal, but it's also it's a root of truth that string through me, you, and everybody. Some shit ain't gonna change. Things are what they are. Some things he want as they is, and some things just ain't gonna change. And what I'm saying, what ain't gonna change, is that giving your money to a church or your tithes and offering, a lot of times, in a lot of cases, is not helping the people that you think it is. And God ain't requiring or needing your money anyway. You know what I mean? You got to look out for yourself first. Bring ye tithes and offerings into the storehouse so my house may have meat. That doesn't mean bring your tithes and your offerings into that church building. Your church is your place. This is my church right here. I bring my tithes and my offerings into my storehouse so my house can have meat. If I give my damn money to that damn church, ain't no telling what they doing besides buying a Cadillac, BMW, living better than me. Nah, I'm bringing my money in my storehouse so I can have a BMW. So I can have a, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm going to do. And if I want to go ahead and be charitable and give, then I don't need a church to give to. I know how to give to people. I know how to be benevolent. I know how to be humble and humble myself. I don't need to forfeit my money and my earnings to anybody for them to dictate where it goes. If I want to help people, I help them and don't need a church to do it. Now, there's nothing wrong to giving to a cause or a worthy situation or people that you feel is doing the right thing with it. Nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of people in a lot of churches that's not doing the right thing with the funds. They're subsidizing their lifestyles. Right in your neighborhoods, right up under your face. And that's just the way it is, and that's the truth. That's the truth, and that's the truth of the matter. You have to ask yourself, how is these guys, they got no jobs. You work every day, whatever, they have no jobs. You pay your tithes and offering. There really ain't a whole bunch of people that go to church. How are they doing all this extra stuff that they doing? How are they doing it? Where are they getting the money from? Who's doing the audit? And when has the last time anybody audited a church anyway? And as a parishioner of a church, shouldn't you have the right to call for an audit on the church's books? I mean, especially if you're a tithe paying, offering paying, if you're offering and you're a tithe payer, couldn't you call for an audit, a forensic audit of a church? Couldn't you? I'm just wondering, can't you? Couldn't you? Because it really don't matter at the end of the day. They on their way out. They on their way out. With that being said, you guys, I wanted to come on and just, at the end of the day, just not only just talk about what's going on right now. I think it's just very important that we have real conversations. But honestly, you guys, I think some churches should be audited. If you pay tithes and you go to a church and you've been a card-carrying member of any per se said church, shouldn't you be able to call for an audit to see where the money is actually being spent and see if there's shadow, if just seeing if there's shadow money being spent places, or what loans the church have been taken out, or who the church may owe. Because I swear I don't understand how how a lot of church doors are open and there's no parishioners there. 15 people, 20 people a week. How is that keeping a church open? Help me understand. I don't know. And then it's another thing. The church be wanting you to do stuff for free. Basically for free. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm into the video service. And churches ain't the only thing that be wanting you to do stuff for free. See, but we learn from the black church. We be wondering, why black people in business is because we learn from people like the church. The church trick people into their talents, giving up their talents and shit. I done seen people that know how to do roofs, put a whole roof on the church and don't get paid. I done seen people that know how to do electrical work, then they done bought the electrical equipment, the wiring, and wired up the church's electricity and all that type of stuff, because there's an electrician that actually go to the church. The dude that does the electrician, that's an electrician by trade, went to school, learned, he done paid his money, got all of it, and he came and wired the church up. Church don't give him nothing. Like, I used to see that. Blacktop. When it was, I remember being back in the day, men used to lay blacktop. I knew people that did blacktop. They'd blacktop the church's driveway and all that type of stuff. The church barely give them anything. The church be wanting you to go ahead and do a lot of the shit that you know how to do for free. And one thing my mother told me, she was like, the laborer is worthy of his hire. Meaning, if you know or you got a trade, you got a skill, and that's biblical, you should be paid for it. And fairly, at least. And if you want to do something for the church, okay, don't overcharge them. If you want to give them a discount, give to your discretion, but something that's not being over, you're under value, then do so. Nothing wrong with doing that, but they want you to do it for free almost. Especially you using your equipment. The church don't even be having their own equipment. You be using your equipment. And it's ridiculous. And they barely want to pay you. So, I wish a lot of the tactics and a lot of the things that we know and understand what to do and how to treat each other comes from the black church, man. It comes from the black church. And the black church kind of taught us how to treat each other, really. And that's, if you really think about it, that's probably why a lot of us don't even get along right now. So with that being said, you guys, I want you guys to have a good Monday night. It's the first of the week. I probably might just come on tomorrow morning. It might just be something good to do. Come on tomorrow morning. Have a good time with you guys. And let me make sure this is working pretty good. Yep, look like it's working pretty good. Want you guys to have a good, blessed night. And I will be talking to you guys soon. But stay away from them crooked preachers and pastors, man. We out.
Bendis when he coming full. Like I said, a 4 Giottos on the living room. Luxury shit, fuck with me, bitch. Capital G, the weather nice out. I'm hitting the switch, I'm in the streets. 13-inch, triple gold D's. Strike a pose, a picture worth 1,000 words, I suppose. Picture me rolling with your golden chosen. Who you thought would hold it down for you, but she clowned you under pressure. So unprofessional, high beyond measure. Sharing the treasure with my fellas. Oh, she down for the jets, bruh. No tricking, no financial. Strictly finesse, bruh. On to the next, bruh. Find out where I left her. Bought it this morning.